We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
All right, welcome to the Ask the Expert Show. I'm Jeff Witt.
Good morning, family. I'm Donald.
Hi, good morning. I'm Jewel.
So, guys, you have to bear with me because I'm terrible at this. But at the end of the day, we're here to answer your questions about relationships. Whoever, however, or whatever you're going through, Couples Academy has something for you. What I'd like to do is, well, we've actually got questions this morning coming in hot. So we're going to get right into it. Let me start here with Ben. Ben, good morning from Tennessee. I have PTSD and childhood trauma from my mother, which shaped my 8-wing 7. That's the Enneagram for you people who don't know what that is. It's a personality test. My wife is a 5 and echoes a lot of my mother's traits, including abandonment. Okay, and then he goes on to say, I learned how to disconnect from guilt and shame, and my affair partner showed me the ideal love I craved. How do I get past the grieving the loss of this, and he changed the word later, impactful relationship? All right. So, Ben, I feel you, man. I've seen you on the show a lot of times, and I just want to call you out real quick because I've seen you. I see you crying for help. But you have to look at a few things here. When you said you're an 8-wing 7 that was shaped by your abandonment, what you are is a power seeker. You're trying to be in control of everything because you've had to be in control of everything. And there's a 7 fun, playful side of you that comes out. And that 1, 2 is allowing you to, that person is allowing you to do that. I mean, that I don't know what your affair partner's Enneagram is, but whatever that is, that's allowing you to do that. The 5s have a tendency to overprocess things. They don't talk. They run from situations a lot of times. So sometimes your powerful dynamic is causing you to have a loss of connection with your spouse who probably can't even take it, to be honest with you. I would like to just say, Ben, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it very, very clearly. I see you in here. You need to man up, man. And what I mean by that is this clinging to the affair partner thing as if that's going to be some kind of fantasy that's going to fix your situation. You're leaning on someone else to solve problems that are going on with you from childhood. And for me, what I would suggest that you do is get help, brother. Like you see the sign right here, one behind me. That's what this is all about. You becoming the best version of you that you can be so that your decisions are made with a clear head and not with the pain that comes from your past. So what do you guys say about this?
I agree. I mean, there's really nothing else. He needs Foundry. Definitely needs Foundry.
Brother, get in. Like, get in. Sign up.
Just speaking on that, Ben, Foundry has helped me tremendously. I mean, just from where I started in my relationship to where I am now, things that I've learned from Hassani and Jeff. It's not even about, infidelity or anything. It's just really learning how to tune in and hone into who you are and how you can bring out the best in you, because we all can be better. I mean, I don't want to sound like a salesman or anything, but Foundry just helped me, and all of the brothers that I know who are in Foundry has helped them tremendously, really realize their value. And I think it can definitely be something that is truly impactful for you and definitely worthwhile. You really need to look into it.
As an 8-7, you are a true leader. You have the ability in your healthiest version of yourself to be a true leader. And your 5 will follow right along with you. Your spouse will follow right along with you and allow you to be that person without all that pain, shame, and guilt if you can become the best version of yourself. I'm married to a 6. I'm not a 5. I'm 3. But being married to a 6 is not the easiest thing in the world. They have the same tendencies as a 5 to shut down, but they also can be vicious because of the guilt factors that they hold and how they hold on to anger for a very long time. And so at the end of the day, I realize who your 8 is, and what you need to do is, like Hassani always says this, the key to your marriage restoration is your personal transformation. You have to become someone better. And I think what you're doing is looking at your spouse and all the things that are wrong with her, and I see you looking at the things that your mother's left you with, but I don't hear a lot from you about what you have done and how that impacts you. All I've read every time I see you posting here is simply the fact that there are issues that from your environment and from your emotions, connections with other people. What I want to find out about is who you are and what you did to contribute and what you're doing to work on that. And when you work on that and become the best version of you that you can possibly be, what you will find is that a lot of other people are just going to get in line and follow you, brother, because you're a natural born leader. That's 7 trait 3s and 7s running the world. It's a fact. Anyway, I hope I answered your question, Ben. Who do you want to go to next? Okay, let's start with Angel. Do you want to read that one there, Julie?
I'm trying to. Okay, part 1. Husband cheated about a year ago, deleted contacts from his phone. However, he still has women on his social media that I am not sure about. How do I address this without me feeling like I'm, part 2, being controlling? He says he knows his boundaries and won't cheat again, but doesn't delete them on his own. He has been very consistent with everything else after our counseling. Okay, Angel. So you start just like that. You have a concern, and no, it's not about you being controlling. And I am glad that that you guys are doing well, and I'm glad that he's in a better place. But when it comes to social media, you guys, if that was one of the things that started the problems or part of your problem, then yes. If that means ending that social media page, then do it. If that means you both, getting a joint social media page, if you want to stay on social media, fine. But everybody, you probably have heard Hassani say this millions of times. If there's something in your marriage that doesn't work for you, but works for your husband, it doesn't work for your marriage, and vice versa. If it doesn't work for your husband, but works for you, then it doesn't work for your marriage. So you asking him, how about starting with trying to explain to him how you feel about the fact that he still has people on there that you're unsure about. Just explain to him that you guys are in a better place. You appreciate him being where he is now and the work he is doing, but that still makes you uncomfortable. So, sometimes it's just how you present it, but you expressing how you feel, there's no problem with that.
Absolutely.
Just to double down on what, Jules said, I think her answer was phenomenal. I think, the other thing you can do, Angel, is just when you communicate with your husband, make sure it's in a place where you can, invite him into the conversation. Communication is essential and critical in any healthy relationship. And I just think, being honest with him, being open with him, and being transparent with him, like Jules said, if it started with social media and it's a trigger for you, don't do yourself the disservice by not communicating that with your husband and letting him know how you feel. Just inviting him into that conversation so you guys can have a healthy dialect about it, and then get some finality about the answers as far as how he's going to approach removing the people on social media that you are concerned about.
I want to just add to this. How you approach these conversations matters, because a lot of us, and I'm sorry, I won't mess with you, Donald, because I know you're an officer. Some of us approach these situations. We walk up to the window with a gun on our hip and our hand on it, ready to pull. You can't do that. If you want to have a clear and open, honest conversation about why he has these connections with certain people on social media, you need to be able to go in there and try to create a safe zone.
Mm-hmm.
In that safe zone, like, okay, this may cause another problem at the end of the day, but we need to have a real talk. Like, who is this person to you and why are they on your social media? Do you talk with them? Are they messaging, or is it just some kind of fantasy girl he's got as a pinup that he's just clicking on to watch? I'm not saying that that's healthy either. All right. But what I'm saying is there are reasons there that you're trying to find out and you need to ask him, but you can't approach that situation ready to to rumble if you hear something you don't like. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times he'll say something, and I'm not even talking about him actually admitting to anything wrong. What I'm talking about is he gives you an excuse where you feel like he's not telling you the truth, and then you just go right in on him before you even have any of the evidence to really justify anything. Like you're already ready to fight. And sometimes people will go into those situations, and even a look can cause an explosive reaction. So you don't want to. You just want to make sure that you have an open mind and you're willing to sit down and actually listen, examine all the evidence, and operate from a place and space that when you're making your decisions. But I think honestly, he needs to get these women off of his Facebook.
And real quick, Angel, when you start this conversation, before you get into that, at least commend him for the work that he is already doing.
Absolutely.
You know, give him his kudos, because he is doing better and he has eliminated some of the things that you have already asked, and he is doing the work that you had been requiring for him, for both of you guys to do. So, never not give them, that pat on the back and just say, hey, I appreciate all that you have done. I appreciate the work you're putting in. There's just some areas that I'm still uncomfortable with.
That's it. And that really is the key, is make sure that you give. I remember in the Army, real quick, we used to do what was called after action reviews. Anytime we ever did anything, went through anything, we reviewed what happened. Okay. And what we would do is first we would talk about the areas of strength, what we did right. So that praise that she's talking about. Then we talked about the areas of opportunity, where you think things, and we called problems areas of opportunity. Okay. So problem, possibility is the matrix. So we learned this, advanced Foundry will learn this. Problem, possibility. Every problem is a possibility when we change the way we look at it. So the possibility is that the problem is that he's on the social media, he's got people that you don't feel comfortable with. The possibility is that he could turn from that and put more attention on you. Then after that, you're going to come up with some principles that you agree on, right? These principles, problem, possibility, principles, the principles that you agree on, and then you're going to create a plan for production. So this is what we want to see as an action plan. And that has to be mutually agreed upon, because if you make him do it, he'll sneak. It has to be agreed upon. So I'll leave it with that. Hey, we have JR. And JR, how do you find the time to recharge from emotional fatigue and also show up for your spouse in the ways that they need after a betrayal as the betrayer? Okay, this is a good question. Does anybody want to go in on that one?
Ask. Simple as that. I mean, honestly, you want to know how to
well, he's a 5, so he's drained, right?
Okay.
He's drained, daylight's out of him. He over processes. He thinks sometimes he's actually said something to someone, and he actually hasn't said it. He just had the conversation in his mind. I can imagine this is all resonating with you, JR. Also, I would imagine that you don't like to do anything until you have it perfect. So a lot of times you're being questioned by your spouse or anything comes up, she feels like you're trying to come up with a lie because of that pause. And that's just because you're a processor. And learning the Enneagram helps you understand those things.
But processing things, I'm a processor, even though I'm not a 5. But whatever his wife's Enneagram number is, that's how he has to communicate with her. He has to communicate with her the way she understands, and not necessarily the way he's comfortable in communicating.
He's not comfortable communicating at all. 5s can live
exactly.
themselves in the closet.
He needs to learn how to
do something to do with the book, and I'm good. But here's the deal, JR. Like, what I really think you need to do is you're going to need to work on some things that you see. You're probably very highly skilled at communicating when you have to. Like if you're brought into the job in the workplace and you have to do a presentation, I'm sure you can pull it off. You probably pull it off articulately. You probably practice for hours before you do it, and you try to make sure everything is perfect. But at the end of the day, those same skills, those things that we do in the world to function very, very well in the world, we tend to leave those out in the world and we bring our problems home. It should be honestly the other way around. We should be producing our best selves in front of our spouses and our family first. And then in Foundry, we talk about working from the inside out as opposed to the outside in. Instead of being stimulated by all the problems and the threat and the possibility, you're probably worried and preoccupied with those problems. 60 to 70% of the time you're at home, you're just dodging and you're running and you're looking for a way to hide from it all. The truth of the matter is, if you really do the internal work on you, you'll feel comfortable in your situation. You'll be able to articulate and express. And one of the things that really comes through when your actions, not just your words, support everything, when your actions start demonstrating love and care, you will find that this will not drain you emotionally as much because you won't have to say it as much. It'll be demonstrated in your actions at home that you love and care. See, it doesn't emotionally drain you to give a hug. It doesn't emotionally drain you as a five to give affection. What does drain you is the constant conversations about things you don't want to talk about. And what I'm saying is, if you become the best version of you and demonstrate that through action at home, you'll be engaging in conversations that you want to have, and you'll be dodging. This is the best way you can dodge it, is by showing up in your actions every single day, being extremely transparent and creating a process, because I know you're about processes. So creating a process by which you include making sure she's secure in a relationship at all times, and include that into your day. It'll make it less taxing emotionally on you. Anybody else have anything to say about that?
No, man. That's the ball out of the park right there.
Yeah, see, good morning, Couples Academy from Tori. Thank you. See Gonzalez. Guns out.
Hey, Bill.
That's Jules' spouse, if you don't know. He's one of our Foundry members, and he's rocking it. So I see Rita here. Okay, and she's got two parts here. How do I make it known, I would imagine, to my partner after betrayal that I forgive, but we need to build the trust before intimacy?
And what's the next part?
Yeah, there's
Intimacy. Then she says, sex and intimacy after betrayal doesn't feel what he did had damage, so he expects to find intimacy before we even resolve the issues at hand. Okay, yeah, this is deep. You got this?
I mean, I would say for the first part, I think it all comes down to, again, communication. Communicating, with your husband that although, there may be some issues that you guys resolved, in order for you to establish or get to a place where, you're not here. So I'm just going to assume that, you would want to have, sex or be intimate with him again. You want to establish that connection. You want to establish that intimacy. There's actually a phenomenal book for your husband. If you suggest this to him, it's called Open Her by Karen Brody. Man, that book is the blueprint on how you can establish intimacy with your spouse. And if you do it the right way and follow it to the T, you're going to be chasing him for sex. He's not going to have to worry about asking you. And, because that's, like I said, it just gives you the blueprint on how you need to open her, to get her to be vulnerable, to get her to be trusting again, to get her to, want to communicate with you. And for all of the guys out there that are listening, once you do that, and once, you do open your spouse, it is going to open up other things, that is going to get you to the places where you want to be in more ways than one. I mean, it's not about just having sex with your spouse. It truly is about that emotional, intimate, psychological connection. That is what every woman wants from their husband. I mean, I can't recommend that book anymore.
So yeah, that's absolutely true. I think that's an amazing book. She also put here, and I wanted to put this and let you respond to it, Jewel. How do I get him to understand without hurting him that I need to trust him again to feel free, because he insists that if there's no sex, we're better off divorced and setting boundaries.
Ooh. How do I get him to understand without hurting him that I need to trust him again to feel free? Have you guys ever just sat down and and you explain to him what trust looks like to you. And the reason why I say that, because what trust looks like to you versus what trust may look like to him is a little different. Men do have a tendency to feel that sex is going to fix everything. And that's normally not the case, not for women, because we focus more up here and in here, and their focus is more down there. I mean, I'm just saying. So it's, I don't think anything that you say should hurt him when you're trying to express to him how the things that you need to build upon, that's going to make you comfortable. But it's also, is he willing to work with you? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense, Jeff?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, for a man, as a male, and you guys have a spouse that wants to build trust, what is it that you want from them? How would you react to them? I'm asking you guys.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. I think he is feeling rejected, because that's what men do when they don't have sex with someone who they love, care about, and they do. He's feeling rejection. That's what he's feeling. And so there are other ways that you can act, and there are other ways that he needs to learn. Okay. So one of the ways that you can act is, a lot of times when women are feeling that lack of trust, they will push away because they're actually worried that if they give over to it. But you can still be affectionate without having sex. You don't have to have this hard, no, get off me, don't touch me. It can be a, hey, listen, hold close, all this other kind of stuff. Like, this needs to happen here. Actually show him this needs to happen here, like this, before this is going to happen. Because if you show him through love and affection, through hugs, through care, through that kind of stuff. Now, I know that's a danger zone for you, because the walls that we put up, the wall, especially if that makes a woman feel comfortable putting that wall up, is so that they don't allow them into the heart. So there's two things going on in your side. And I want to address you first, Rita, before I address him, because you're the one that's here right now. When you throw that wall up, you're afraid that you're going to start feeling again. If you start feeling again, you're going to start trusting again. When you start trusting again, you're going to end up doing something, and he's going to hurt you again. But you're starting from a position with the walls up, saying no entry. You have to figure out this code, dude. And he's having to figure out the code. But then at the same time, every conversation probably turns into an argument because you're not able to teach him the code. So if you can just show care and affection, and also still keep your guard up, your boundaries, I completely understand that. I want you to understand that trust is a process. It is a bridge. We're not actually looking to trust again. We're looking for certainty. Okay? We're saying we want trust. Trust is one level, but the ultimate level of certainty is like, I know nothing's happening. I know for sure my husband's not doing this. I know for sure that we have a connection. I know for sure that he's not going to hurt me again. That's what we're really looking for. We call it a trust bridge. So it starts out with insecurity, doubt, fear, shame, blame, and a bunch of other things on one side. And then there's this big gap, a big hole that's fallen between that solid foundation that the marriage is built on. And between these 2 points, there's this big gap. And the first gap is you have to formulate a list. And this is an exercise you guys could do together if he's open to it. And really, you should consider doing counseling, or he should come into Foundry. That first step is going to be about building a system of things that you need to believe to be true. I would write down 5, 10, 15 things that you need to feel are true before you could be intimate again. You want to believe these things about him, right? That gives him a checklist. And I know women love checklists and men hate them when they're being held against that checklist. But it does help clarify point by point by point. Look, I need absolute transparency. So I need to be able to go on your phone whenever I want. I charge my phone on my wife's side of the bed. That's how I build trust. It's just something I do. I leave my phone open. She knows my passcode. I have to have passcodes because of business. But other than the passcodes, she knows all those passcodes. So there's ultimate transparency there. I check in with her wherever I go. Like I created a whole checklist of things that would make me for her that would help her feel secure. I worked with her to create that. Now he's also going to have things about belief that he believes in you. So give him the opportunity to do it too. You may have not betrayed him, but there's other things he wants to believe are possible. So he may want to believe that you can have the intimacy that you had before. He may need to believe that you have the passion that you had before, that you have the same amount of sex that you had before, all those kinds of things. He may need to believe these things are true. Now that you have 2 checklists, that's where you start, belief. The next level of that gets to certainty is faith. Faith is where we start taking actions on our beliefs, not just words. Faith without works is dead. So we start working on them. We knock down one at a time. And I would suggest you work on the easiest ones first. The easiest ones to do. It's easy to charge your phone by your wife's bed. It's easy to give her the passcodes to everything. It's easy to let her be a part of your social media. It's easy to put up married to my spouse on social media. It's easy to put up pictures of me and her together on social media. These are easy things that I want to be able to build trust in, okay? It's easy to check in on Marco Polo or whatever app you want to use and show that hey, look, I'm at the store, babe. You know what I mean? Hey, it's easy to do these things. It's small checklists. When the actions are taken, that is a showing of faith. From faith, we can move on to the next level. When faith has been executed, when the actions have been executed over and over and over again without fail, trust is natural. Right? And once trust has been established firmly for a period of time, certainty comes into play. I want you to take a look at a baby, right? When a baby's first walking, if you guys have kids, or if you've ever been around kids, when the first steps of walking, the first is the belief that they want to walk. So they'll grab on the rails and they'll move their legs up and down like they're walking, right? I know all of you are dealing with trust, so I want to make sure we get this lesson in. You're going to be moving up and down. That's a belief that child can walk. He's demonstrating a belief. Now, you'll see mom and dad hold them. I've seen this in every country, in every language, everywhere. They'll hold them by the little fingers or they'll hold them by the little hands when they're standing up and start edging them forward, right? And then the baby takes those steps. That baby is now having faith. He's trusting that mommy won't let him down. Daddy won't let him down. That's the steps that are being taken. They're not stable yet. But as they practice that stability over time, you'll see eventually mom knows that they can walk. That means you're the one giving the faith in him that they can walk. The baby taking those steps, showing that they're going to do the work to walk. You eventually go, okay, now they're strong enough, and you step back, and they freeze for a second, and then they go running across, and maybe they fall into your arms. That's trust. That baby trusts that you're going to catch them when they fall. Right? And then the last part of that is certainty. Right now, if you were to get out of the chair and go walking, unless you have some kind of injury or a disability, you don't even think about it. That's certainty. So as we cross this bridge, it's belief, then faith, showing the action, then trust gets established from showing the actions over and over again. Then you can get certainty again. And you have to do it in that order. See, we already do this naturally, but the funny thing about it is the things we do naturally, we start to second guess. And now that we've been brought in some trauma, we don't even know how to do the things we used to do, right? Because that's how the beginning of the relationship worked. They had to establish you were like, no, he ain't getting none, right? Right? Mm-hmm. But you wanted to, because you wanted to believe that there was something there with this guy. And then you made him show up. And you did all the little checklists. Well, he took me out to dinner. And he's really nice and shows up all the time. And then after time, you said, okay, I trust. Now I'm ready to get married. Build a family, have kids, whatever it is. That's because you were certain. The trust was the
one thing I would leave off, excuse me, I'm sorry. The one thing I would definitely leave off, Rita, with the sex aspect, if he's just focused on the sex, is it the sex he's focusing on, or the lack of connection that he has with you? You can still connect with him and just explain to him, show him that it's not that you don't want to have sex with him ever again, that there's just a process. So start that process off with the small things, holding his hand, hugging, kissing, that at least shows him that there's, you're working towards getting to where he would like for you to be, with, some things in place as far as the things that he needs to do to make you comfortable. But at least show him that you still love him and that you still have an interest in being intimate with him, just not right now.
Yep, I 1000% agree. And there's a concept that it's unfortunate in our society, but it's trained in all of us. It's done through TV, it's done through culture, it's done through custom, and it's simply understood. And I said this, and Sonny even put it in one of his books. I was so happy to see it in one of his books. It says men are trained basically in order to give love in exchange for sex, right? And women women give sex in exchange for love. And this is not so much what it is to be a man or to be a woman. This is culturally indoctrinated in us. Because it's really sad to see, because both of us should be seeking that love and that connection. So when he doesn't get sex, he doesn't feel loved. And that has to deal with the mindset that's instilled in men. Okay. So at the end of the day, we need to retrain that somehow. And where you have those, like I was saying, those steps that allow them to get back to that place of certainty. Okay. So that's that. We are actually at time. I mean, if you guys want to go another 5 minutes, if you can, we can.
That's fine.
Yeah,
okay. Because I felt like we took a lot of time on that one.
That was a lesson, man. That was needed.
C. Wilson's success says stability, especially financial, is an issue. Explaining to my husband my feelings regarding this puts him in the thought process of not good enough, and I'm exhausted trying to explain. Hey, give him to me. When Foundry, we do 4 things. We work on the spiritual, the emotional, the physical, and the financial. We primarily focus on the first 3, because if my guys aren't strong in those areas, they'll never be able to focus on money. But I'm telling you, whatever's going on in the financial stability realm is stemming from his lack of belief in knowing who he is, his inability to communicate effectively with others, which is the emotional quadrant, right? He may have some physical things as well that may be holding him back, the way he looks, the way we dress, the way we communicate, the way we talk, all of those things. And then financial comes easy when you don't have those other 3 things holding you back. Okay, because you can learn the steps, you can model those steps, and we teach the principles in Foundry to do that. I completely understand what you're saying, because that's one of the fears, is like, hey, this man's not able to provide. And there's a lot of men out there who have not had an example of how to provide. And every man needs another man, just like every woman needs another woman. And in the field of providing for the family, you have to have men in your life that are doing that at a very high level, that you respect, that are living a good life too, because if they're doing something bad over here and doing something good over there, it corrupts the whole idea. You need someone who's balanced to be a guidance. And so that's what we form Foundry, as a brotherhood of extraordinary men, right? A fraternity of extraordinary men to help each other stay on path and stay on track. And one of the things we definitely discuss is financial. Let's spend some time on that. All right. So anybody else?
Jeff, can you go to Jerome Jackson?
Sure. Did I miss that one? There, I did.
Yeah, it was in between Rita.
All right, Jerome Jackson. How do I go from 10% trust to get back to 100% trust? My wife doesn't trust anything anymore, even though I'm following all the steps. I answered your question earlier. Yes. Get the 10 things that she has to believe, and you give her 10 things that you want to believe in her, right? Yours is going to be about different issues than hers, because what you're saying is, hey, this is what I need in order to believe, in order to feel like what I'm doing these efforts for is going to work. And what you're showing her is you're getting her list. You know what you need to do of beliefs, 5, 10, 20 beliefs if it has to be, and then set up a checklist and knock those down. Because brother, if you got a list, lock it down. It's just a honey-do that list. It's just another honey-do that list. Don't fight it, accept it, and get it done. And if it's unreasonable or irrational, go get counseling to find out if it's unreasonable or irrational. Because a mediator, sometimes even in one single counseling session, once you've established something like this, one single counseling session can go, hey, yeah, you're being a little hard over here. And just having that third-party voice helps a lot.
And consistency. You have to be consistent. You can't be consistent in the work that you're doing, and just because she doesn't see it and doesn't feel it doesn't mean for you to stop and be like, okay, well, I've done this, this, and this, and she still doesn't see it, so why am I doing it? You have to stay consistent, whether she see it or not. Just the consistency. Continue doing what you're doing. And what's going to happen is she's going to see that even though she's giving you pushback, she's going to see the consistency. No matter what she says to you, you're still consistent in checking in. No matter how, she comes across, you're still consistent with calling. You're still consistent with doing the work. You're still consistent with doing the reading. Consistency is key. She has to see that no matter what she does to you or says to you, that you're not going to break and then say, I give up. Because then she's going to say you were only doing it for this reason, opposed to just doing it because you want better.
The one thing I got from all of that, from my process, Jeff, was pretty much at the end of the day, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And just like with Jewel and what you said, Jerome, I don't know how long you guys have been dealing with this, but it's going to take time. It is going to take a combination of, like what Jeff said, your plan, what Jewel said, with consistency, and then what I'm saying, time. You combine all of those things together and continuing to work on the best version of yourself to show your wife that this is not about me. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for us. When you combine all of those things together and continue to be consistent, continue to show up for her the way she needs you to show up for her, not the way that you want to show up, but the way that she needs you to show up for her, and give her that time to show her, hey, babe, I'm going to do this. I don't care if you throw, something out of left field at me. This is a new me. That old person is dead. That old person is gone. I am doing this for all the right reasons. Her wall will slowly start to chip away. And now you will see a glass window where you guys can see each other. Right now, that wall is like, it's like the Trump wall, man. It's just high. You know what I mean? You got to chip away. You got to break it down. And that takes time. Yep. It takes time, brother. So just stay in the fight, man. Just stay in the fight.
And just make sure your behaviors have changed. There's nothing like, saying that I've changed, but yet she still sees the same behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
Nia, I want to just answer this for you. The book is called Open Her. It is called Open Her, and I'll give you the author in just a second here. It's called
Karen Brody.
What?
Karen Brody.
There we go. Karen Brody, Open Her. All right. This is the last question. I just want to answer this, and then we're going to, take it out. But he says, Onyx says, I was a betrayer almost 2 years ago. We separated for 6 months. I've been in the home for over a year and can't get my wife to see the repentance in my actions. She says she can't understand why I love her now and didn't love her when I did what I did. And then I show up every day and have not given up on us, but she gets in these moments where we're all lovey-lovey, and then these issues come up and ruin what I'm believing progress is. Okay, this means that you are incomplete, brother. Right? See, I can have my car completely break down and I can fix most of the parts, and there'll be one little thing I can't find. The engine starts and it starts cutting out because there's this one little piece that's missing. There's one little thing that you're doing, communicating either through verbal action, nonverbal communication, that's creating this doubt, this worry. So we're going back to that same trust bridge where what do you need to believe, right? So I can create an action list of things that I can do so that I can build that trust and you can be certain. She's missing certainty. She probably has trust where that lovey-lovey is in certain areas. And then there's something. It's either a trigger, something you do that triggers her, or a trigger that she's experiencing that's not keeping her. What you want to become, brother, is what we call undeniable. When you become undeniable, that means, see, you think you're showing up all the time. I know this because we all think we show up all the time. Right? And at the end of the day, when I'm hypercritical about myself, and I look, there's always something. When I do this one thing, that's not it, right? And so we have to discover what that is, and you can go through that process. I would suggest getting counseling to help get past this. It may be that she needs a program like Unearthed to deal with her own issues. If you truly are showing up in every way, may mean that you need to do counseling together, or you may need something like Foundry that helps you figure that out in a way that keeps you from feeling bad about yourself. Because I can tell, like, you want to believe that there's progress. You're ruining, use the word ruin, what you believe is progress. And see, you're using, may just be a trigger that she's experiencing that she can't get over, that she has some things in her own life, in her own past that she's dealing with, that is being that's being brought up. But these things take time, man, and we have to create perfect environments. Now, if you're one of those, if you're going through one of those situations where you could be in paradise and still complain, that's a different situation. But most of us haven't created paradise, at least in our emotional relationships with our spouses. There's always something we can be doing, and it's not a point of arrival. It is it's consistency, like he was saying before. I was like Jewel was saying before. Consistency is the key to power, wealth, and marital bliss. Consistency. Like most of the women I know in traditional homes want to be able to predict you. They want all of the things that they need for stability to be able to predict you. And yet, on top of it, they want the wonderful things in life to be unpredictable. And that actually, if you think about it, that's not just women, that's men too. We want all the things we need for stability in life to be predictable. And then the wonderful surprises that come along in life, we love those too. So you need to be predictable in your showing of stability. And, if you're doing that, like I said, get counseling. Go, to Hassani or even Jewel or whoever you want to go to have these conversations within the practitioners that deal with couples. I deal primarily with just men. So, but you may want to just work these things out, because it's about uncovering and unearthing that one thing that's keeping her from going all in.
And honestly, my husband and I are in a great place. We're in a much better place than we've ever been in our marriage. Nevertheless, in his process of making sure that we stay on good ground, every so often he'll ask me, is there an area that I still need to show up in? Because even though in his eyes we're great, I might be seeing something different that he doesn't see. So he does come to me and be like, do you see anything different? Is there an area that I still need to work on? And, at that point, I'll say, okay, we still need to, get a little more smoother in this area, or you need to work in this area. And it's vice versa. I ask the same thing. So there's no harm with, even going to her. You're doing all this work. Ask her, what is it that she sees that you're doing wrong?
With the right tone. Key, with the right tone. Because you're like,
yes, with the right tone.
Like I'm doing everything right, and you still tripping. Like, come on.
Not like that. You don't want to go at her like that. Trust me.
No. In the right moment too. Like you might need to plan
a work day
3 weeks out of the month, right day, all of those things, and like when things are going the best, take her out to dinner, have a great time, and then ask, "Hey, man, I know we've had a great time tonight." Put them in the right mood before you ask a question. And seeking, a wise man loves reproof. That's Proverbs. You should love someone correcting you. As long as they're being accurate and caring and loving about it, you should love to hear, hey, look, this is what you could work on. I have a 6. So I had to learn that verse over and over and over again, because the way that they communicate is, I want love and affection as a 3. So I'm like, hey, look what I did, look what I did, look what I did. And she's like, yeah, but not this, not this, not this, not this. And as 6s do that. That's actually not them criticizing in a bad way. It's them, you're almost perfect. Here's what we would do to be perfect. She's actually trying to improve me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If I take that as criticism because I'm a 3, you don't ever show me you appreciate it. That's what it turns into. And we don't want to do that. Now, we definitely did an extra 15 minutes here. I didn't do all the stuff I was supposed to do because I'm not good at running these things.
Jeff, I know we're over, but let me get 30 seconds real quick to Onyx.
Yes, sir.
Real quick, Onyx. So there is a just doubling down on what everybody has said so far. Knowing how to communicate with your wife to get what she needs from you is critical, because there was a lot of times where in my own marriage, in my own situation, I was giving or treating my wife how I thought she wanted to be treated. That don't work.
Right.
She needs to know. You need to know from her what it is. And it's a simple question, like Jeff and Jules said, hey, babe, what is it that I need from you? What is it that you need from me to show you that I am all in, 100% willing to do whatever it takes that is necessary to get you to understand that I am a new person and I am here from now until death do us part. Get that answer and then do it. And the other simple thing is there is a book that helped me out. And I know Jeff, as soon as I say the name, he's going to be like, oh man, why didn't I say this? What Radical Husbands Do.
Absolutely.
Reggie Campbell. That book is a game changer, man. Get that book on Amazon and start reading it like the Bible, brother, because it will help you out from going from what you think you're doing right to, again, another 12-step blueprint on how you cannot be a great husband, but a radical husband to the point where your wife is going to be looking at you sideways like, who is this dude? That's what you want.
All right, everybody. I want to thank you for being with us on Ask the Experts. I'm going to take us out. Definitely take a look here because we have the Foundry experience coming up here in January. If you're not ready or sure about joining Foundry, but you want to come and experience what it's like to be around all the brothers from Foundry, I'm telling you, get in now because it's filling up quick. We're about halfway full and we've only had it out for a week. I think we're close to that. I got to double check. But we're getting there. And I've gotten a lot of verbal commitments from a lot of people. So we have up to 45 slots. It's going to be getting together with the brothers and really knocking it out. I'm going to let you guys see what that's about. Definitely get on the site, contact us, email us, whatever you need to do. The men, make sure you're there because it's coming up right now in January 20th through the
20th through the 22nd.
Yeah, 20th through the 22nd. Here we go.
The Last Chance Weekend.
Oh, I will show that too.
When 45 men from all walks of life come together in one place for one purpose, there is a collective harmony that produces an amplification of power that leaves an impact on the lives of men that cannot be erased. A fraternity of legendary men, all at the tipping point, on the precipice of greatness, meeting for one weekend to turn their worlds inside out. For the first time ever, the Foundry experience. Not an event, not a seminar or retreat, but an opportunity to come face to face with the man you were always destined to be. If you want a life that's better than the one that you are living, meet us January 2023 for the Foundry experience.